All right, let's play some Avianos. So this is a fun one, but they really do drop you in the deep end. So if you're just starting a run, you're probably on a screen that looks something like this, and the only thing it's asking is what ancestor you want to pray to. But there is a ton going on the screen already. So let's try and break all that down before we get into what ancestor we want to pick and understand our map first. So we are the red player. We're tucked way up in the corner here. We're playing against blue. And the goal is to capture 4 flags, right? And there are 6 total on the screen. And blue is, of course, going to be trying to do the same thing. So it's a race. And in that race, it's also a race for resources. So you'll see on every green tile, there is an icon. And those icons are going to match up with these at the bottom here. And we get spotted a couple to start. We had 10 seeds, 3 bones, and 3 workers. And we get those just for starting. And then whenever we move, if we move into a spot with bones, we're going to get +4 bones. If we move into a square with seeds, we're going to get +12 seeds. And when we move into a square with workers, we're going to get +3 workers. And once we move into a square, it'll turn red and it'll be ours. We can do whatever we want with it at that point. If we move into a square that is already blue, well, the resources are going to be gone. So what'll happen is we move in and then we're going to have an attack. And we'll attack whatever troops that blue has left there. And depending on how that plays out, we'll either get the square and turn it red or potentially just run away and move back to wherever we came from. But you don't get any resources from that. The other tile that you may notice is these mountains. So mountains are difficult to move through. It's hard to move into a mountain. You need some kind of specialty move ability to get there. Your standard move isn't going to do it. But because it's difficult, you get a bonus, right? You're going to get 2 resources instead of 1. So this would be +12 seeds and +3 workers if we can move into this mountain square. So what are the other icons on the screen? There's 2 more. There's a green tree and a yellow nest on our red square. Now, we don't see any on blue. We also don't see how many troops they have. We have 2 troops. They have question mark, and that's just fog of war. So they probably have some buildings here. We have no idea what or how many. But let's see how these buildings relate to the other resources, right? So they're spotting us 1 green tree, and trees make more seeds, right? It's also spotting us 1 nest, and nests are spawn points for all of our troops. We need nests if we want troops to be able to add troops. We can also recruit troops at the flags. So it's actually a little redundant what we have going on here, since we have a yellow nest on the same tile as a purple flag. We were going to be able to recruit either way. But, it's free resources. We'll take it. And then there are 2 buildings that we don't have any of yet, and they also link up with the other resources. So there's the purple churches. They link up with the bones. They're going to generate bones when we get a chance to accumulate more resources. And then there's the blue fountains, and fountains make workers. All right. And so then what do the different resources do? Well, workers that we get from the fountains, workers build things. So they're going to let us build more trees or more churches or more nests. That's the primary function of the workers. The seeds are going to let us recruit more units at a nest or at a flag. And so that's how we're going to spend seeds. And then there are the bones that we get from churches, and those are going to be for magic. All right, so those are all the unit types. We know the different buildings that we can have. We know what buildings we already have, and we know how to move. So now let's think about how the map is laid out and how we're going to get to our goal of capturing 4 flags. Right? How do we get 4 of these 6 flags? And how do we do it before blue gets 4 flags as well? So let's start from blue's perspective. What is blue likely to do? Well, this one is really close. It's going to take them 2 moves and they're in. So this is probably the first one that they're going to conquer. And where might they go from there? Well, if they have a way to bypass this mountain, maybe they go here next. Or there's this one, which is a straight shot up. No need to go around the mountain or through the mountain. So maybe that one's actually more likely. So it looks like blue is going to start by trying to create a stronghold on the right side of the screen. That's my first read of this. And what would we do from where we're starting? Well, this one's pretty easy, right? Another simple 2 moves and we're in. Where might we go from there? Well, we have the same issue that blue does with this flag, that we need to get through a mountain in order to capture it. So, or go around. We can always go around, it just takes longer. This flag, we do have that protection from the mountain. So if we have this one, it's kind of between these 2. And these 2, I would say, are the most contentious spots. I think either player is going to end up with these, whereas this one is almost always going to be blue. This one's almost always going to end up red. So our game plan should be to take one of these 2 quick. If we can rush one of these, it'll force blue to take a different path. So if blue goes here and then here, and we rush here, they're going to have to maybe go this way just to get their 3rd. At that point, we can come here and then try and fight off this one that's protected by the mountain. It's going to make it harder for blue to be able to get additional resources to defend this castle. So while we said blue is probably going to want to hold the right side, I think our best course of action is actually going to be to try and take the top. And it's going to cut them off. And it's going to set up a nice little triangular defense here and give us an easy path to this last one. That's going to give them a difficult path in there. All right, so now we just need to figure out how we're going to do that. One other thing that we want to think about are the resources that we're going to get along the way. Now, the trickiest part about this is we have to go through the mountain. So we do need to plan around passing through a mountain, which we can do. We can definitely set that up. Our other option would be to go straight down, but I don't like that as much. I don't think this one's going to be in play as fast as this one will. So I'm really interested in capturing this. So we're going to go through here. That means we're going to pick up some seeds and some workers and some bones. So pretty spread out on the resources we're going to be able to pick up along the way. Blue looks like they're going to get a bunch of workers. And if we force them into something like this, they're going to have an absolute ton of workers. Even if they go through the mountain, they're going to get more workers. And we said workers build buildings, and buildings are how you get more resources. So it seems like blue might be on some kind of a path where they just stack up and up and up, build as much as they can, and maybe have an overwhelming amount of resources. So it's possible that what we're going to need to do is go fast because they kind of have a slow game already. They have all the buildings that they need because they get spotted all these workers, where we get spotted kind of a mishmash of different things, not nearly as focused. Okay. So let's now take a look at the ancestors that we have available. We have Trilok, Rexodon, and Stegnar. And let's look at Rexodon first. So one thing to note about the ancestors is their abilities are all used in order from top to bottom, every time, no matter what. No deviating from that. Which means that even though there are multiple ancestors that have the move ability, depending on if it's in slot 1, 2, or 3, is really going to change out how that plays. So Rexodon is pretty aggressive because he gets to gather resources, and then he gets to recruit troops with those resources, and then he gets to move those resources, those recruits out. So Rexodon's going to be really good at attacking because he gets to make an army with his first 2 abilities, and then he gets to move an army with his third. Whereas someone who has move as their first ability is going to play very differently because you're going to move with less units and then be able to do your other options, whether that is build or make some additional units. So Rexodon, what else can we say about Rexodon? Well, we know that we already have the 1 green tree, and we can see that Rexodon actually gives us a bonus. We get a plus sign, which means we get free resources. We're going to get 10 seeds no matter what. And then we get +3 for every tree that we have. And we have 1 tree already. So that's going to be 13 on top of the 10 that we already have, which means we get to recruit multiple units. And remember, we can only recruit at where we have a flag or a nest. And so right now that's only the 1 square. So we'll need to expand that in the future, either by capturing more flags or by building more nests. But 1 spot is fine for now. And so that's Rexodon. What else do we have available to us? We have Stegnar. And so Stegnar has move first, right? And then build. Now, you can only build on squares that are your color. Okay. And you can only build 3 buildings per square. So this one already has 2. We can go +1 building here. But Stegnar gives us the move first. So if we move into another square, we can add 3 more buildings there. Now we do need to be able to afford those buildings, and buildings are built by workers. We have 3 workers to start. Neither of our moves get us more workers. We get seeds here, we get bones here, but no more workers. So the most workers we would have if we choose Stegnar is 3. And then Stegnar also does not give us more seeds. We only have 10 seeds to be able to spend on recruits. Although if we move down, we get that +12. So we could recruit twice. But remember, we can only recruit from where we have a flag or a nest. But Stegnar actually gives us options for that. So we could move down, build a nest, and then recruit twice. Either from the nest or from the castle, or 1 at each. However we would like to split it up. Okay, and then we have our last. And that's going to be Trilok. And Trilok has some miracles. I'll pull those up here so you have the full text. Trilok is going to produce. He's going to get +3 bones. We get spotted the 3. We're going to get 3 more, and then an extra 2 for every church that we have built, which is currently 0. And then he gets to recruit, but does not produce any more seeds. Right? No more seed production, which means whatever we recruit has to come out of whatever we have. So we can only recruit once. And then we get to use some miracles. And so you can see the miracles on screen. We have a Holy Vision, which is going to remove the fog of war. Right? So let's see. We can, in fact, see how many units they have here. It only works on 1 square at a time. So probably not something we need to do just yet. Not really something you want to do until you're worried about maybe getting attacked or if you want to move into a unit that they're already at. We have Magic Flight, which is another way to move. We can teleport, and this actually lets us move 2 spaces. 2 spaces is kind of huge. It'll let us jump. It'll also, since it's a teleport, it can move into mountains. So we could move into this mountain here. And then the last one is Lightning Strike, and that kills 2 units of each type at a location. So nice little spread of what you can do. We get movement or attacks, or just some basic information. All right, and then so that's all 3. And so what looks best here? Well, here we go. We said we wanted to rush this flag, right? And I think that's still a viable option. We can use Trilok's teleport and get directly into this mountain. Moving out of a mountain is free. It's only moving into the mountain that you need some kind of a special move. So even though this first move is the one that requires something special, we have it available to us. And then we can use any move to get out. Okay. That seems pretty good. Let's go ahead and lock in Trilok. And you'll see that one of our little icons here lit up. And so this is our loyalty card. Every ancestor has their own loyalty card, and you'll notice that there's every other one has a little pip inside. And those are going to let us level up our particular ancestor. We could get to put a little star next to any one of these. In fact, we can go up to 2 on each. And the stars are going to just give you better things. So produce is going to produce more, recruit is going to recruit cheaper, and miracles are going to cost less. But we don't get to do that this turn. We will get to do it the next time we pick Trilok. And I think this is actually a good time to talk about turn order. So we pick Trilok here. We're not going to be able to pick Trilok next, and neither will our opponent. So our opponent goes, they can't pick Trilok because we picked it. And then we go and we can't pick Trilok because we picked it last turn. And then our opponent goes. And let's say our opponent now wants to take Trilok. They can. But then we go and we can't pick it because they picked it. And then they go and they can't pick it because they picked it last. And then finally we get our second use of Trilok. So you can see how many turns can elapse before from your first turn with an ancestor to your second. And this works both ways. So we can use this to stretch out how long between our opponents picking the same god. If we see that they're kind of repeatedly using one god over and over and we want to break that up, we can step in and take it and stretch out how long it takes them to get back. But we're going to be under the same fate. So if they think that we're abusing one, they step in and take it, and it's going to really stretch out how long it is before we see it again. And so that's why you're going to need to be spread out across the ancestors. There are 5 different ancestors, and if you have to wait 2 full turns or 3 full turns before you can pick that ancestor again, that means you're going to need other things to do in the meantime. But for now, we are going to take Trylock. Okay, so we get 3 more bones. Okay. And then we can recruit. And again, we need to recruit from a flag or from a nest, but we're at a nest and a flag. And should we spend some seeds while we're here? We do want to leave some resources for next turn. Right? We don't want to go in with a whole bunch of zeros because that'll really limit our choices. And we only get 3 choices. And we want to be able to do something every step of the way, ideally, to be able to use all 3 abilities. That's going to be the best use of our turn, is if we can use every ability. What's going on? Okay. We want to use every ability. So we should leave ourselves some resources if we're going to use a miracle this turn, which I believe we are, because we're going to want to move. We're moving into the mountain here, right? That is our ultimate plan for the turn. That's the middle ability here. That's going to take 6, which is exactly what we have. We don't have any way to spend our workers this turn. No way to use those workers, and that's fine. We'll be able to use those for next turn. Maybe that's our goal, is to use all of our workers next turn. In fact, when we move into this mountain, we're going to get an extra 12 seeds and an extra 3 workers. But since we have to go in order, we're not going to be able to spend those seeds on more recruits, right? Because we're not going to get them until we use the miracle. So those will be for next turn, and so will these workers. So I'm thinking next turn we're going to focus on using up as many of these workers as we can, and we'll try to leave ourselves a couple seeds. But all that said, I do believe we are fine to take 1 unit here. So we'll recruit once, and then we're going to teleport. And how many units do we want to teleport? Well, right now, if we recruit, the only spot that we can recruit from is up here. And we're going to move, but we're not going to be able to recruit from here next turn. And not until we get into this castle are we going to be able to have a second spot where we recruit, unless we happen to build a nest in between that. And so since this is the only place we can recruit from, I think we're safe to move all of our units out. It's pretty protected. Blue is nowhere near putting any pressure on this flag. So if we leave it empty, it's no big deal. You don't need anybody present in order to collect resources from your buildings. So we're fine to leave it empty. All right, so we're just going to move all. Looks good. And we're going to come right over here. 12 seeds and 3 workers. We've got a nice little bank going for next turn. And we're out of bones, so we'll pass the turn. And so the opponent takes Stegnar. Okay, so we took Trylock, opponent took Stegnar. Let's review one other thing about the ancestor cycle with the turn cycle, right? So we took, here we go. We took Trylock Opponent took Stegnar. And so while the first pull is random, the first three that we get are completely random. From this point on, they are all predictable. So Trilock is not going to be available. Stegnar is not going to be available because this is the last one that we picked and this is the last one that our opponent picked. And so we will always have these three as long as those two are selected. And from there, it just goes round robin. So we are, of course, going to pick someone else. And let's say we take Brontor. So what we're going to pass back is not going to include Brontor, but it will unlock Trilock. And then blue is going to get to go. And let's say they take Rexodon. What we get passed back will not include Rexodon, but it will include Stegnar. And so we'll get those three, and it's just going to keep going on a cycle like that, with the last two that were picked not being options for us. All right, and so then where are we at? We have Brontor, Quetzal, and Rexodon. And what did our opponent do? They moved down. And just like we thought, they're going after this first flag here. They choose not to go for workers. I actually don't remember what was down here. So that's interesting, but maybe they see how many workers there are and realize that they don't need to get all of the workers. They can do with a couple less by going for whatever was here. But of course, we are still on our path to get the flag up in the top here. So what we're really looking for this turn is the ability to move. We also want to look at what we have to spend. We have a lot of workers. Maybe if we can move and spend workers, that would be good. If we can move and spend seeds, that's all right. Preferably, we would move first. That gives us a second flag, which means we can recruit from two different places. So Rexodon is not ideal because the move is last. The recruit happens before the move, which means we would need to recruit all the way in the corner here. And then we get to move, and we only have these 3 units that we can potentially move in to the flag to help defend it. So what else can we do? We have Brontor. But Brontor does no recruiting at all. Brontor produces and builds and then can use some miracles. Well, we have no bones to use on the miracles. His production for bones is, of course, tied directly to the purple churches, and we don't have any purple churches yet. So what does Brontor do? Well, we're only going to get to use 2 of the abilities. We will get to produce. We have the 1 green tree. We'll get a couple of seeds, but we have no churches, no fountains. And then we can build. We do have a bunch of workers to build with. So maybe we did say we want a build turn. At some point, we do want to use these workers to build, but I was kind of looking for a build and a move. If I could have everything. And then we have Quetzal. So what is Quetzal going to do for us? Well, Quetzal gets to muster, which is going to give us some units at our nests. Not our flags, just at the nests. So that's plus 2 units here, and then we get to move, and then we can trade. We get to run a little chain where we go bones into seeds, and then seeds into workers. But we already have a healthy amount of workers, and we have no seeds to really get this chain going. We would have to spend or no bones to turn into seeds to really max that out. So Quetzal doesn't look all that hot. But our opponent did not move up. They could have, blue could have pushed up to try and contend for this spot, but they didn't. Which means it's going to take them at least 2 turns to get in here, even if they have like a diagonal and another move. It's going to take them 2 turns to get up here. So I think we're actually safe. We don't need the move, even though I would like it. It would give us that extra spot to recruit from. It's not going to be 100% necessary. So maybe we do take Brontor. And this will be our first turn with Brontor, so it'll be our first level. We don't get to increase anything else here. I think that's fine. We get to produce. We only get 4 seeds, so not a lot. Then we get to build. So I had said that our buildings, they can generate even with no troops present. As you saw, we got 4 seeds for having the tree here, even though we have no units here. The square just has to be red, right? And how do we keep squares red? Well, we keep them away from blue. So which ones are hard for blue to get to? Well, honestly, both of our locations are. This one's so far away in the corner, and this one's in a mountain or on a mountain. They're going to have a difficult time getting on top of the mountain. And it doesn't really even make sense for them to try and claim the mountain. So both of these are pretty safe. And we can get 3 buildings per. So we could go plus 3 buildings here. We can add 1 more building here. We could make up to 4 buildings this turn, if we want. We also want to think about what we're going to pass back with next turn, right? We want to leave ourselves some resources. So what does that look like? That is going to look like a couple of buildings. Maybe we spend all the workers. If we're spending all the workers, that's going to get us more trees, maybe a couple houses of worship, a couple churches. We can build fountains, but that's going to take our seeds. Or we can just spread it out. You know, we have enough resources that I think we can actually build 4 buildings. We can spend 12 of our seeds on 3 fountains, and we can spend our 6 workers either on 3 more trees or 2 more houses of worship. So we just need to leave ourselves something to do on our turn, and we should be fine. So let's build. We'll take 1 fountain, and then maybe another fountain. And how about we go 2 houses of worship, since we have some bones we can pick up on the map here. Maybe there's some here if we can get into these mountains. Not guaranteed. But otherwise, if we're just going down this way to pick up flag and flag, we're not going to see any more. So this will make sure we have a couple to work with. And we're going to pass the turn with 10 seeds. We have the 1 tree. Yeah. All right, so we're done there. We have no bones to spend on miracles. We have to pass it back. Opponent takes Quetzal and continues to expand. Okay. Of course, that means we have Rexodon, Stegnar, and Trilok. If we take Trilok this turn, we are going to get an upgrade, because this will be the second time that we pick Trilok. We kind of leaned into Trilok a little bit already, too, since we have these 2 houses of worship. Even though we have 0 bones right now, we get the +3, and then we're going to get +4 because of our buildings. For 7 total to spend on miracles. And then we have a couple of seeds that we can spend on a recruit. So we get to do something every step of the way, which is good. Our other options were Rexodon, and it would be our first time picking Rexodon, so no bonus just yet. We do get to produce. We have the one tree. We will get to recruit, and we will have plenty of troops that we can move. Let's think about where we can move from. So we know that we can only recruit from our one flag or slash nest. So we could move some troops out of there. We can also just take our flag like we planned on. Gives us another flag to be able to recruit from next turn. And then our last option is Stegnar. Stegnar has no pluses. We get no free resources for taking Stegnar. It's only what we have to spend. And this is what I was talking about going into your turn with some resources. Stegnar looks really bad here because we can't build at all. We have nothing left to build with. We could move. Is there some place that we can move and get workers? No, because we can go here and get bones. We can come down and get some seeds. But we don't have access to any more workers. So even if we take Stegnar and do the best move that we can, we completely miss out on building. And then we go into recruiting, which means we probably want to go here and recruit up here. But then we only have 10 seats, and we're going to spend all of those recruiting, which means we're going to go in with zeros across the board next turn. And I'm not a huge fan of that. So I think it's between Trilok and Rexodon for what we're going to do this turn. And the question is, do we want to level up the Trilok? Do we want to try and accelerate Rexodon and make more units? Well, either way, it's recruiting before moving, whether it's via Miracle or the move ability. So unfortunately, we're not going to get to recruit at all from this spot. And so then the question is, do we move for the resources or do we move for the flag? And where do we do that from? So do we need to recruit from here to be able to move out for these? Do we just send one trooper off so we can still move into the flag and accomplish gaining some resources? Maybe we can even start to build up a line here. You know, we move a couple troops down, gain some seeds, move down, gain some workers. Not crazy about that one. I think we're gonna take Trilok, and we'll do a little fun thing that you can pull off with Trilok. And that's gonna have to do with Trilok's Blessing. So our options, we can produce, it's gonna let us produce some seeds in addition to the bones. We can go for better recruits, which are just cheaper, and same thing for miracles, cheaper miracles. We are going to take cheaper miracles. And we go up to 7 bones. And where do we recruit from? Well, we only have the one location, and we want 1 unit. That's all we can afford. And then we have the miracles. So we used teleport last time to get into this mountain. We are going to do it again to get into this mountain. And last time we paid full retail. This time we get a discount. It's down to 4. And when we move into this square, we get plus 4 bones and plus 3 workers. But it costs us 4 bones to get in there. So it immediately pays us off. Those cancel out. We end up 3 workers. So let's do that. We'll teleport. From here, move our 1 unit down here. 4 bones and 3 workers. And we can still do more miracles. Since our miracle to move costs 4 and we made 4 bones, we can do it again. From the same square, we're going to move out and we'll come down to this mountain. We'll get 12 seeds and 4 bones. And since we got 4 more bones, we can teleport again. We will go from this mountain. We'll move our 1 troop out to this mountain and get 4 bones and 3 workers. And you can see we've got a nice little pile of resources going now. What else do we want to do from here? We can move one last time for the cost of 4 more bones. And take the flag. Okay. What are our other options? We could move from another spot. We could take this flag. We could take this flag as well. But I'm not concerned about victory points just yet. You know, we're in good strategic positions to move into those. I don't think we necessarily need to move into them yet, though, as long as we're ready. Plus the fact that we took Trilock, we know that our opponent can't take Trilock next turn. And we also know that Trilock is the only way to move 2 spaces. So, even though blue is here, we know that they're not going to be able to jump over here in 1 turn. So we're kind of safe there. Yeah. So let's just sit on our resources then. I think we're okay just to stack up resources for a turn. Okay, enemy takes Stegnar and expands again. They got some workers here. Stegnar can also recruit. It's possible that they got some more recruits at one of their 2 flags, or you know, maybe they even built a nest somewhere in there. That means we get passed back Brontor, Quetzal, and Rexodon. And how do we want to manage these 3? Well, what resources do we have to spend? We've got 7 bones, we've got 6 workers, we've got 14 seeds. This actually feels like a pretty good Brontor turn. We're going to get to do some building. We're going to get to build out of the way, which is huge. These are very unlikely to get captured back. We can leave them unattended with some buildings to just generate more resources. We'll also have some bones left over to spend on miracles. So this is kind of everything we want. We get good use out of all 3 abilities for the turn. We have Quetzal. Quetzal gets us 2 troops all the way up in the corner here. Not a great location. Would let us move. We could move in into either one of these, but not super interested in that. And then we can trade, but unless we're trading up for a bunch of seeds, we're pretty full on resources otherwise. Yeah, so I feel pretty good about Brontor, especially after looking at Quetzal. Rexodon does give us a move, but again, I don't think we need to move. I think this is a build turn. I think our opponent has given us another build turn. We do need to be cautious about Trilock, though. Our opponent has set up 2 different squares where they could move troops with Trilock, and we know that they will have access to Trilock next turn because we took it last turn, and that means they're up next if they want to take Trilock. So maybe we actually do want to grab one of these. We know opponent moved here last, We don't know how many troops. But if they pushed all of them into this, then this would be the most likely. If they only moved like a single troop up and stacked up here, then this one's going to be more likely. Maybe we should have used that last move and came over here instead on our Trilock turn. Since opponent also has Fog of War, they don't know how many units we would have ended up putting in here. And maybe that would have discouraged them from trying to make this leap. Just the fact that it was already claimed. I don't know. We'll have to see if we screwed ourselves over on that one. But in the meantime, so do we want to take the move, or do we want to take, do we want Rexodon for the move, or do we want Brontor to build up? I'm going to go for a building turn. And maybe it's going to come back to bite us. We will find out. It is our second turn taking Brontor, though, so we get to bless in action. We can go for produce, it gets us cheaper produce. We can go for build, it gets us cheaper builds. Or we can go for miracles, and it gets us cheaper miracles. Reduce looks pretty good. It's going to give us extra workers, but we have 2 fountains, and we already have 6 workers, right, with these 2 fountains. So it would be 6 plus 4, and that is actually going to hit the cap. There is a cap of 99 seeds, 9 bones, and 9 workers. So less good than maybe first blush. Although cheaper builds means we get to build more buildings, and so that's pretty good. And cheaper miracles are also good. So we have 6 workers. It's gonna, I think we just go for the miracles here, and I'll show you why. So we produce, we get a little bit of everything. And then we get to build. We need to decide what we want to build. I like this first location. I think we're going to take at least 1. And then maybe we just do 3. Come down here and build, say, 1 or maybe 2 more fountains. 14 seeds left. Can we spend 4 more? Go down to 10? Is that too few? Let's just max out buildings this round. And then we're going to get to do some miracles. And we have 9 bones to spend, so we're going to go off a little bit here. We're going to use our Sacred Favor, and that's going to let us build up. It's going to let us build up favor with any of these units. And you can see it tells us what level we're at already. We kind of want to get as many of these to an odd level as we can. So Brontor right now is at level 2. If we get him to level 3, that means next time that we take Brontor, he'll be on level 4, which means we get to upgrade again. Same with Trilock over here. Trilock's on 2. If we can push it to 3, next time we take it, it'll go to 4. And so we'll get to level up Trilock again. But the first thing that we're going to do is level up Brontor. So we're going to level Brontor up to 3, and then we're going to level Brontor up to 4. And that's going to let us afford cheaper miracles, which reduces this first miracle down to 1. And then we're going to get to spread out these last 5 bones across all of our units. Right? And what do we want to do? We want to move. So let's bump Rex. We definitely want to bump Trilock at least once. And then what? Let's take 1 level on Quetzal. And then we'll take 2 more on Rexodon. And the first one's going to let us level up. We could level up production, which gives us additional payoff. We also get production out of our fountains, and we did spend some time making fountains. We're up to 3 fountains, so that's kind of good. Our other option is to level up recruits, and this gives us an additional way to spend our workers. That's also good. And then our third option is to level up move, and it lets us move diagonal, which we don't quite need yet. So we're going to level up Rexodon once here. The next time we pick Rexodon, we're also going to be in a position to level up. So I think if we go either produce or recruit now, when it comes back to us, we level up the other one. So we'll take recruit for now. And spend 1 more on Rexodon. Now our opponent knows we did that. There's a very good chance that they snipe Rexodon from under us. We'll see how it goes. Oh, they take Trilock. Okay, we were also leaning on Trilock. And they went for Lightning, which is kind of good for us. We only had the 1 unit here, although it does keep us from moving that unit into the tower. Oh, crud. Okay, I slight mispress on a key there. I missed, I locked in Rexodon for us, which we're just gonna have to deal with now. That's fine, we were thinking about taking Rexodon anyway. So I'm not that worried. And so this is what we were looking at before. Do we want to up our production, or do we want cheaper recruits? Production pays us off for the 4 fountains that we built. Recruit lets us get cheaper recruits. We're gonna get a whole bunch because we also have 5, 1, 3, and 1 trees. On top of the 10 it gets us, and the 10 that we brought in from last turn. So we can spend that on cheaper recruits, or we end up with some workers and we can spend that on workers. And I think we're just going to go with the produce, like we talked about. Put 1 level into recruit and 1 level into produce. And we get 25 seeds and 4 workers. We have a lot to spend. Of course, we are locked in for our movement, so maybe we don't want to spend all of our seeds because we're in a not great location. So what do we do? I don't think we want to spend the workers yet either. Although we have 12 buildings, maybe we don't necessarily need a ton of buildings, but I think we're just fine carrying them into the next turn. Let's build up our defenses here a little bit. We'll take maybe 5 archers. Call it a day. We do get to move. Maybe this is when we move into a castle, so we have a second place to recruit from. And see how this plays out. Our opponent takes Quetzal. So that means we get passed back Trilock, Stegnar, and Brontor. And they're moving up. They may try to fight for this flag. Maybe they're going to come over here and try to get this flag. Certainly one of those 2 is their plan. They're kind of leaving this one open still, but we're very far from getting troops in there, right? They killed the one troop that we had, which is a little unfortunate, but not impossible to recover from. So what is our goal for this turn? We have a lot of seeds. I'd like to spend some seeds. Maybe we can use these workers and do a little bit of building. We have no bones. We did make those 2 churches, right? So we do get +2 bones, but that's not a lot. Even though we made his miracles cheaper, it's maybe not our best use of resources. So maybe this is not a Brontor turn. What about a Stegnar turn? How does that look? We do get to build. Not a lot, but we have a couple workers. Although, you know, we're getting low on spots to build. Both of these are in areas that might be under contention, and if we lose them, we lose the buildings. So that's not ideal. And what else is going to happen here? Well, we have a couple seeds to recruit. But if we build and recruit, we're going to go into next turn with basically no resources. We're going to be out of almost everything. Which makes me think we're back on Trilock. And we already talked about setting Trilock up. We did that with our last Brontor turn. We're going to get an additional upgrade from Trilock this turn. So I think that's how we're going to go. We earn a blessing. What are our options? We get to produce. We make more seeds. We can go for recruits. It gets us cheaper recruits. We do want to recruit this turn. If this flag is going to be in contention very soon by these troops moving up, we want to defend it better. And these archers that we can get from these couple of workers that we have laying around are going to be very good at defending, especially from a castle. You know, we have the high ground, so that's a great place to put archers. Our other option is to go for cheaper miracles. That lets us move around more. Let's pull up his miracles again. It's going to let us move around cheaper, right? It only costs 3 instead of 4. We're going to get 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bones. So that would let us move twice. Do we need to move twice? Maybe. Maybe that's how we get across the map here. We go 2 and 2. In fact, that would set us up with 4 flags. It's possible that we get our 4 flags this turn, and then we just have to hold for 1 turn. Do we rush a win? Do we rush the win? Do we get to recruit if we do that? Not much. Not much. But maybe it's just enough to hold off an attack. The big issue with this is if it fails, it's going to fail pretty spectacularly. We're going to get kind of blown out because we will likely lose this. We'll lose all of our units. This one will be pretty well defended because if we're hopping here and then hopping here, we'll move all these archers. We'll have 5 archers and they're going to be pretty good at defending, although it is possible that they get blown out as well. Tricky stuff, which, so that makes me want to lean into better recruits over the miracles. Alright, well, you know what, let's try it. Let's upgrade the miracle. We get 7 bones. We get to recruit. We recruit once here. And then we get to teleport. We move everybody out over to here. And then we move We move everybody? Maybe we move most down here. All right, let's see how it goes. Opponent takes Rexodon, so we're getting attacked. Very likely we're getting attacked. There we go. There's the attack. So this is the first combat. First combat. We have a couple options. We are going to be defending. There's no buildings here, right? So if they take over, they get the flag, but they don't get anything else from it. They don't get any resources. So our choices are going to be to attack, which will move our front lines forward. We can hold, which will keep them inside of the castle and let the enemy try to break their way through. Or we can flee, which will just run away and maybe save some troopers if we're really overwhelmed. Let's see how that plays out. Okay, they only have a couple units. I think we're gonna be okay. We've already taken out a couple. Yeah, there we go. Now they're down to just one archer. There we go. We only lost, what, one unit out of that? Pretty nice. Now we just need a couple of recruits. And we can recruit from any flag or from any nest. Who do we have that can recruit? Well, we also only have 7 seeds. So our opponent took Rexodon, which would have been our best recruiter, and we took Trilock last turn, which would be our second best recruiter. We are a little hard up here. We're on a resource turn now, and instead of a rebuild turn, so that's a little awkward, and we have no way to rebuild. Instead, we're just going to have to take a resource turn. We'll take Brontor. We get a lot of resources. Look at this. We're up to 8 workers, 27 seeds, 3 bones. We could build. We don't really need to build. Is there anything extra that we want? Maybe... I kind of want to save the seeds, right? I kind of want to save all these for more troops if we need more troops next turn. Maybe we do just a light bit of building. Something like this. And then we'll make sure we get an extra level up out of whoever we choose next turn. We have, we have one more. We'll put it in, it doesn't matter. We'll put it here. We can level up our muster. That seems fine. That's the turn. We'll see if they can get through. Now, our units are pretty lightly guarded, so Trilock might be enough. We'll see how stacked up they are on troops. Oh yeah, we are boned. But we're just gonna let them shoot down as many units as they can. Okay, we got rid of, I don't know, like 5 units. They have 10 units in there now. And they hit our other ones by lightning. So that's pretty bad. I think what that means, well, I'll tell you exactly what that means. We went for it too early. We should have went for a build turn. Instead, we went for that double move. We got passed back a turn where we couldn't recruit anything at all. And now we're a little boned. We can take Rexodon. We have a lot of troops already. And we're going to level Rexodon up as well. We can move diagonal. That still doesn't help a whole lot. Cheaper recruits or better production, though. I think we'll go for recruits because this is a recruit turn. We produced 28 seeds and 5 workers. Awesome. Good use of our seeds last turn. We still have plenty to work with here. We also have all of those workers. We have 9 workers left. Perfectly capped out on workers. And then we get to spend. So this is going to be a full spend turn. We're going to go maybe 8 archers here and put the rest here. And then a couple ground units here. Couple more ground units here. And then who do we move? Is there a resource left that we want to pick up? We did spend everything that we have. We can move right for a couple seeds. We can move down for a couple more workers. Moving down also gets us closer to recapturing this flag, which I believe is going to be the easiest one for us to capture. So let's do that. We'll move out about half of our archers and all of our shields. And we'll go straight down. Oh, so they feel strong. They're going to attack. This could work out really nicely for us. We know that Stegnar's move is in his first position. So they have not recruited any additional units. It's only what they moved in here with. And we know they moved in with like 10 or so units. The nice thing about that is they are moving out of their area of protection. So if they had the castle, they have the high ground, but they're giving up the high ground to come after us. And we should be ahead of them on units by, it's not going to be much, but it should be enough. As long as they kind of do their thing. Let's see how it plays out. Oh, yeah, they only sent 5 units. Those bombers are a little annoying. We need our archers to start doing some work. There we go. We lost a lot of our archers. We're down to 1. Oh, holy shit. Come on, archer. Thank you. Wow. That was a rough turn. But we did win, which is important. We were successfully able to defend. And I do still feel good about what we have going on up here. I think this will be pretty easy to defend unless they come with a lot of troops. But our next, the next thing we want to do is be able to assault. We want to come after this. So maybe now we want to nest. If we can make a nest here, we can make troops right in their face. And so who can do that? Brontor can't do that. Quetzal can't do that. And Trilok can't do that. Trilok can move 2 squares, though. So maybe we're supposed to jump and try to come in this way. We have very little to spend, right? We have nothing to spend our, no way to actually recruit before we do this move. So we would only be moving in with 5 archers. And we're coming in against a fortified space. We will be able to use some other miracles, right? This is only going to cost us 3 to make the move. We're going to have 7 because we have the 2 purple here and the 3 that he spots us. So that gets us exactly 7. We can eliminate half their units. Well, not half, but we can eliminate some of their units and then move. So maybe that's enough. It is going to leave this one open. Yeah. Our other option is Brontor. We don't really need to build, although we could use a big production turn. Quetzal. The muster is improved. We did level up muster. So now we get better units and at more spots, but they're out of the way, right? Our nest is still up in the corner here. Our two churches are also up in this area that I don't think is going to be contended. I believe this is the only one that we're fighting over. I think this was uh, maybe false. Either that or they're just building up troops until they can overwhelm. But if that's the case and they're pushing all their troops up here, we'll just come this way. So what do we want? I think it's just Trylock. And we do earn a blessing, so we can up our production, which will let us recruit more. We could up our recruits, which also lets us spend the workers this turn, which I think is the better choice. We get 7 bones. We recruit 3 more archers. And then we take out 4 units. Huge. We take our 8 archers and send them in. All right. Oh, they left it empty. Wow. All right. So maybe we were supposed to split our units. I thought they had more than that left over. After the attack for this flag, I thought they were at like 11 units, and then when they moved out, they moved in I think 6. So I thought we were going to have something. I thought we were going to have to make a little bit of a fight here. But maybe they moved half their units back and then attacked. Not 100% sure how that went down, but it seems to have worked out well for us. So here comes Rex, probably a challenge up here. Ooh, we get away without a challenge. Now, they did take Rex, which is our best recruiter, and we have no resources left. So Stegnar's out. He's not going to do anything. Brontor, we could take a big production turn. Or we can take a muster turn. I think we just take the production turn. This is the same loop that we were in before. Kind of a bad spot. We... Oh. I keep doing that. We were going to take Brontor anyway, so it's fine. Keyboard shortcuts, everybody. Gotta love them. What I was saying, though, is that we're in the same loop that we were in last time, where our 2 best recruiters are the 2 that are blocked out for this turn. So we're forced into one of our backup units. And let's see what we want to do. Let's figure out. We can up our production. That's going to get us more seeds. Probably good. We don't really need to build. We have plenty of buildings. And we can't make miracles any cheaper. They're already at level 2. So we'll go for production. We get a nice payday. Maxed out on workers. 35 seeds. Do we want to spend anything on building? If we get Rexodon next, Rexodon is going to give us 1 worker for every fountain that we have. And we can only, we're already maxed out on workers at 9. So we can go down to 4 workers. We can go down to 4 workers. And then as far as seeds are concerned, I think we just want to keep as many as possible. The cap is at 99. We're nowhere near hitting the cap. We have 2, so we could freeze their units in place, maybe keep them from advancing on us. Of course, our other option, we could move a mountain. try to build a wall somewhere. I don't think that pays off a ton. Or we can go +1 favor. I tell you what, we're going to roll the dice and we're going to say that maybe they've been building up units up here for an assault. And we're going to freeze. Now, we could freeze down here. I think this is 1 unit. See, we guessed wrong. It's fine, it happens. But we did guess wrong. We only locked in 1. We'll see if we get punished. Let's see how it goes. Opponent takes Trilock. That's going to let him get over this mountain. Of course, this is the attack. This is the other attack that we were suspecting. We could have frozen down here instead. But we froze up here. So let's see what our fate looks like. Oh, all right, not bad. We froze 1 unit. They would have only had 3 here. And our archers are more than enough to take care of everything. Oh, look at that. They managed to get 2 attacks out. All right, all right. They get around our snow in. So maybe that snow in was bad. Maybe we were supposed to spend the levels on favors for other units. I don't think we're in too bad of a situation here. We do have the most troops. Yeah. Sorry, bud. That was an easy one. Okay, and that's how we do it. We won the war. Congratulations. And so, yeah, we used kind of all our units. Quetzal was a little underused here. We never really had a good opportunity to where we would want to build nests. And therefore, we never really got Quetzal off the ground. But it's not that Quetzal isn't useful. We just happened to have a board that didn't really make sense for Quetzal.